When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Welcome to the third hour of the Elias Macko Show, a very, very, very special edition of the Elias Macko Show. As we've gone national for today, if you're just tuning in, hey, and you're in Montreal, I'm your guy, right? You're listening to what you probably expected to hear in the rest of the country, because in the rest of the country, they get a day off. Here, facts are facts, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at worker productivity across the country, here in Quebec, we fall just a little bit short. We're just not as productive as the rest of the country.
Unacceptable.
Thank you, Premier Legault. It is totally unacceptable how unproductive employees are in this province. And with that in mind, when the Premier of Quebec has been asked, hey, shouldn't Quebec also get a day off in February? He says, well, we just can't do it. We're not as productive as the rest of the country, and we got to stay at work for this very day. So I'm at work here in Montreal, and because of that, I get to broadcast to everyone else in the rest of the country. Just got a text message from a listener just tuning in. Hey, Elias, your show is being heard from coast to coast, which I'm sure you knew that. And yes, I did, but thank you for sending me that note. If you are listening, by the way, and I got the notes out in Saskatchewan, I've received text messages from people in Saskatchewan, in fact, that are listening this morning. Keep those comments coming. I love to know where my voice is reaching this morning. For this third hour of the show, we start off with dating. We start off with being single. If you're single and you use the internet, you've most likely tried your hand at the dating apps, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, the list goes on. And for some of you, this might have worked like a charm. Good for you, I say. But for others, you might be a little bit more aimless and often find yourself endlessly swiping, which never ends in a potential match. So for one man who had enough, he decided to go a different route and spend $5,000 on a dating coach. Although skeptical at first with how the profession has often been linked to misogynistic pickup culture, offering tips and tricks to bad women, Graham Isador actually found that many coaches are actively trying to combat this and create services for healthy dating and meaningful connections. Graham Isador, writer, his work appears in the Globe and Mail and GQ, among other places, is on the line. Hi, Graham.
Hey, how's it going today?
I'm doing well. Listen, I can feel it. I can understand it. Frustration with dating, but getting to the point where I'm going to give $5,000 to someone, oh boy, that's a big ask of me. Why don't you tell me your story here and how you ended up with a dating coach?
Well, we can walk through it a little bit. Just to start off, I should say that, as a journalist, one of the great things in my life is sometimes things come to me pro bono for stories. So $5,000 is the cost of this story for sure. It's something that I think a lot of people have put investments in. Hundreds of men have gone to Blaine Anderson, who is a wonderful and charming person. This was done as a part of his story for me. So that $5,000 thing on a freelancer salary would be a little bit too much for me, even when looking for love. But that was one of the things I was thinking about. So unfortunately, I have not had a lot of luck on swipe apps, which has kind of led to the devastating possibility that I'm less charming and handsome than I had previously assumed. And so I wanted to see if I could maybe find a different way to project my personality online and find some more success with what I was doing. And, while I had turned to a lot of different things online, ultimately I figured, hey, why not go to an expert? And if an expert costs $5,000 to do this, then I'm hoping that they have some great things to tell me and can turn my luck around. So that's how I ended up with Blaine.
And Graham, let me tell you something. At the end of last year, I believe it was in November, we actually did on this program a swipe right week because it was 10 years of swiping right on apps. That's how long ago Tinder showed up, over 10 years ago now. And, we talked to a whole bunch of people and they told us about how sometimes these apps are actually designed for you not to find love. What they want is for you to keep swiping here. So now let's talk about the other aspect here, the dating coach, and what happened when you went to someone who seems to be the antithesis of just swiping on photos.
Yeah, it was really kind of reframing the way that you're thinking about online dating in general. And the way that Blaine had put it through was that it's not necessarily that these people who aren't having luck on apps like myself are, these troll cavemen who could never attract a woman, but rather that they're not really marketing themselves in the right way. So it was a complete kind of reframe on the way that I was approaching thinking about my dating profile rather than just trying to put something that was, indicative of some of the things of my personality. I really kind of went through and thought about if I was trying to sell myself as a personality or as a product or whatever, how would I do this? So partially, step one, that's taking a look and seeing, hey, maybe the photos that you like or you think are great for yourself aren't kind of getting the responses that you want from them. So we walk through some of the steps to take better photos online and take a look at what that might look like. It also meant that, when you're presenting yourself in words and you're sort of 300 character bio, what are you saying? How are you presenting yourself there? If you're just a guy who likes fishing and Molson 50, and you're putting that in the bio, well, maybe that's not kind of putting the right messages out that you want there to attract the type of person that you're trying to get across. So we kind of took a look at that and rewrote some of those things as well. But a lot of it, too, is also kind of thinking about the mentality of the thing. What do you want from a relationship? What are you looking for on these apps? And can you present yourself in a way that's going to be most appealing for that to work? So, yeah, I do think that sometimes that, I can blame the algorithm a little bit and I can be less than pleased with those things. But it was also kind of taking a look at hey, if these things weren't working, then how are you really trying to reframe this in a way that's going to put the best foot forward the entire time? And this dating coach really helped me do that.
And speaking of putting the best foot forward here, did you have to also rethink how you send that first message and what you include in a first message?
Yeah, it was a lot less haze and sups and what's going on. It's trying to take a look at those profiles and see if there's a meaningful connection that could kind of come through there. So, you're taking a look at their photos, you're taking a look at what they've written about themselves and trying to have a jumping off point from conversations that start there, which seems pretty basic a lot of the time, but is not something that a lot of people do. But more than anything, it's trying to figure out if there's some connection there, then you're trying to get a date in person as fast as possible. So you don't want to kind of entirely jump in and just suggest a drink around the corner from your house or a dinner or something like that. But how do you build rapport kind of quickly there, see if there's a common interest, and then try to really get that in person to see if there's actual chemistry. We're not really looking for pen pals on these apps, right? We're trying to figure out how to make a meaningful connection, and that can't entirely happen with a stranger just through text.
We're with Graham Isador. He's a journalist. His work appears in places like GQ and the Globe and Mail. His latest piece for the Globe and Mail is called "I Tried a $5,000 Modern Men's Dating Coach. Here's What Happened." So, Graham, let's talk about results. At the end of the day, using what you learned through a dating coach, did it end up with more meaningful dates?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it was just I was very resistant to it the entire time, even with the understanding that this person is expert and has kind of great advice. It's a humbling thing to kind of go through your profiles and take a look at those photos that you like, or take a look at those those words where you're trying to present yourself, and the realization that these weren't working for you. But even changing those was kind of a big step for me. So I took Blaine's advice and kind of walked through what she had done. And, I got to say, it really kind of changed the dynamic of the matches that I was getting, kind of doubled, to be honest, from where I was before. So, $5,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people. And I understand that that's not an investment that everybody can make. But taking your dating life seriously and treating it, with a little bit of more perspective and a little bit more seriousness to what you're trying to do is really the only way that you're going to start getting different results if that's what you want. It's how do you make investments in yourself,
In the 30 seconds I have left, Graham, usually when I do segments like this, it's with women, about women dating coaches, for women. Do you think more men need to consider something like this?
Yeah, if they're not getting the results they want, I totally suggest something like that. It's really trying to take a look and trying to figure out what you want from dating, and if you're not getting that right now, how can you take steps to make meaningful connections and do that in a way that's going to be beneficial and uplifting for both of you guys too. So, less funny hats, less negging, and then more trying to really figure out how to make a connection with this person.
Graham Isador's latest piece in the Globe and Mail is called "I Tried a $5,000 Modern Men's Dating Coach. Here's What Happened." Thanks for a look at that, Graham. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time today, man. You have a great one.
That's a freelance journalist, Graham Isador.